Now, before someone comes to your home, you'll probably start sprinkling, right? Because you don't want them to see the mess. Before the Lord comes in our home, the homes of our heart, we often want to try and clean ourselves up because we think He's too holy to handle our mess. So, I worked in sports dietetics last year, but we had transportation drivers that took us home. But one of the drivers, we got into a conversation. His name is Paul. He's a very kind and great man. However, he told me, he would first want to get everything in his life right first. He said he wants to drop all the bad habits completely before he decides to come to the Lord. Now, it's not wrong to want to drop bad habits and to be wholehearted in your attempt to do so, but if that keeps you from God's presence, it is not okay. So you don't have to come to God perfect. You don't have to get your life together first. So don't try to clean up your mess. Don't try to clean up your sin. Let Jesus clean up your sin because only His blood can clean it up. Don't try to save yourself before coming to Him because Scripture says we are not saved by our works, but by grace through faith. Ephesians 2 verse 8 to 9 says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." So don't try to work on cleaning yourself up first. Work cannot save you. Only Jesus can. Don't even try to sweep the mess under the carpet, under the mat. See, the enemy can't shame you for something you have already brought into the light of Jesus. But as long as you try to hide the sin, the enemy can shame us. I often like to describe it. If you sweep dirt under a mat or a rug, what happens is you might not see the dirt. However, at some point, my brother has sinuses, so he will start sneezing as a result of the dirt that accumulates. So even though you cannot see the dirt, the effects of the dirt will express itself outwardly. Now, don't try to pretend to be perfect in front of Jesus. God can't bless who you pretend to be. Jesus sees it anyway and loves you anyway. Romans 5 verse 8 to 9 says, "But God demonstrates His own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us." When we failed God or failed Jesus, He didn't fail to love us. Scripture says that His love is unfailing. But let me read the passage further. It says, "Christ died for us. Since we have now been justified by His blood, how much more shall we be saved from God's wrath through Him?" And John 15:3 says, "No greater love is this than to lay a life down for a friend." So love is laying down. Jesus laid down His life through death. His death is an act of love. So while we were still sinners, He died for us. While we were still sinners, He expressed His love for us. He didn't wait for us to be perfect before He died for us. No, He didn't wait for us to be perfect before expressing His love for us. And might I just also add, everybody in our life doesn't have to be perfect for us to love them or for us to enjoy this life. Now, Scripture says, while we were still sinners, He loved us. So while we were still messy, He loved us. That's the thing. You can come messy, but once you come, you won't stay messy because His presence guaranteed will transform you for the better. Come as you are, but it doesn't mean you'll stay as you are, because Jesus' presence will change you for the better. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9 to 10 says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me." So God's grace, it's a gift. Grace is received and not earned. So once the Lord forgives us and cleanses us, we can now walk in purpose without fear of failure, because His grace will be there to catch us. Now, His grace is not a license to sin or an excuse to misstep. However, it gives us the opportunity to walk into our purpose without fear of failure.